Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Today, I'm going to talk about something that's probably going to be pretty sensitive to a lot of people because a lot of people think that this thing is okay, that it's always totally cool. And I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. For all I care, you can smoke as much weed as you want. You can smoke it until your lungs collapse. But let me just tell you guys, I read an article today in Psychology Today about some of the cognitive effects of marijuana. We talk about marijuana like it's okay, like it's cool, and I'm not doubting that it is. I'm not doubting all the healing effects that cannabis does present. There's no question about that. But I want to kind of read this to you and share this with you. So I hope I can share this information and still be loved. We're going to talk about why the government wants Black men to smoke as much weed as possible. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about something that was just on my mind. A lot of times they simply just, stuff just comes to me. I'm sleeping and literally it'll come to me in my dream. And today my wife who happens to be a psychotherapist, who works with, she's a relationship therapist. She's also an expert on psychology. She's an expert on the subconscious mind. She sent me this article in Psychology Today about cannabis, about smoking weed. And I want to really, first of all, get you mentally prepared for this conversation because it's going to offend a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are going to get mad that I'm even challenging and questioning any of this. I know that it's very popular right now to smoke. They deliberately promote drug use and alcohol consumption consistently to particularly young Black males in music. It's all over the music. And I'm not really one to tell you how to live your life. I'm not. I kid you not. I mean, if you want to go and stab yourself in the throat and jump off a bridge, like, I'm not going to stop you if that's really your objective, right? I'm not saying that smoking weed is the same as that, but what I'm saying to you is that I care enough about you to share this information, but I care little enough to let you live your life. Does that make sense? So let me know if we can have this conversation and still be loved, because I know a lot of people are going to get mad about what I read, but I can't. You can get mad at me, but you can't get mad at the facts. You can get mad at your opinion. You can get mad at your opinion that is different from mine, but you can't get mad at the facts. In fact, I'm not even going to give you an opinion. I'm just going to read from this article in Psychology Today about research, deep research that experts are doing about the effects of smoking lots and lots of weed. Now, I'm not talking about people that smoke every now and then. I'm talking about people that smoke every day, several times a week. I'm talking about people that smoke on a regular basis. Give me a yes or no, first of all. How many of you noticed, just be honest, let's just be honest. How many of you have noticed that people that smoke a lot of weed, anybody got a friend that smokes a whole lot of weed, like a lot, like every day, like twice a day, like can't go without it, constantly smoking? You ever notice like they're a little bit different, like mentally, like their brain isn't quite always what I'm talking about, just a little slow. Now, I'm not making fun of you. If you're that person, like, don't go, don't leave. I just want you to hear this. I'm not here to judge you. I promise you I'm not. But yeah, you ever notice that? Like, so I always notice that, right? I'd be like, damn, like that, he smoked a whole lot of weed. It seems like sometimes his brain's a little bit malfunctioning. You know what I mean? And you're not hating, you don't say nothing because everybody's smoking, right? It's heavily promoted in the music. And notice you don't see tons and tons of white music videos of country music singers smoking weed until their lungs collapse. You don't see a lot of Britney Spears type teen pop white, Ariana Grande with a mouthful of cannabis, right? You just usually see brothers, right? You see brothers smoking a lot of weed. Now, Dr. Wesley Muhammad is a brother you should really look into, because Dr. Wesley Muhammad goes deeper than me. He actually thinks that a lot of weed, especially synthetic marijuana, Farrakhan spoken on this actually, a lot of the synthetic stuff has ingredients in it that you may not know about, right? And so let me just say this. Let me just read some of this to you. Now, mind you, first of all, for full disclosure, I actually have weed in my house. I have weed in my house, kind of, sort of. Let's say right next to the bed, I keep a can of CBD oil. CBD is different from THC. THC makes you high. THC kind of takes you into another zone. I don't need to be high because I'm high on life. I wake up high every day. I wake up feeling happy about life and being black every day. So I don't need nothing to make me high. I want to be fully alert. You know, I always was raised as a black man. You got to be a soldier. There are people out here trying to kill you, people trying to lock you up, black people trying to take you out, and white people trying to take you out. So you got to be mentally alert. You know, I knew a lot of guys growing up who got high, got drunk, went to the club, and literally got 50 years in prison for stuff they don't even remember doing. Anybody know anybody like that? Where they got a little high, they've been smoking and drinking and got into a situation, and they handled the situation in a way that was inappropriate. And next thing you know, they getting hauled off to jail and don't even remember what they did hardly because they were high and drunk. Seriously, I know a guy who actually got 80 years in prison. He's in prison right now, 80 years, no parole, because in Ohio they don't play. So I always saw these things, right? These are the things that shaped my view of drugs. I just was like, you know what? I don't want nothing in my mind that's going to mess up my brain. Like my brain is my asset. I need my brain to know what's going on, and you're not going to get me high and drunk so you can just take me out. But the CBD, which is different from the THC, the CBD is great. I put CBD on my legs when I go running. You know, my wife got me running so I don't lose weight, so I can lose weight and not get so fat. And every other night she'll rub CBD oil on my legs, and I absolutely love it. So we got weed in the house. So don't get offended. I got weed right here. So let me read some of this article to you. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And also, boycewatkins.com is a link you can go to if you want to find out any other stuff we have going on. So the URL's on the screen. So let me read this to you. I'm just going to read it. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the information. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at Mark Travers, PhD, who wrote this article in Psychology Today called Why Marijuana Use May Lower Emotional Intelligence. So he says, a new article appearing in Experimental and Clinical Psychopharmacology suggests that chronic marijuana use may cause deficits in one's ability to recognize emotional states in others, a hallmark of what psychologists refer to as emotional intelligence. Quote, from 2002 to 2017, adult population cannabis use has increased from 10.4% to 15%, reports the research team led by Elisa McKenzie and Anita Cervenka, another white person, at the Oregon State University. These increases are concerning as a large body of research has reported that cannabis use may have negative impacts on cognitive functioning, learning, memory, processing speed, and attention. So let me pause right there. Ask y'all a question. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Just say yes or no. Even if you don't like what I'm saying, just give me a yes or no answer. Just say, God, put down the weed, and I want you to listen for a minute. Have you ever noticed in a person that smokes lots of weed, like every day, an impact on their cognitive functioning? Have you ever noticed, yes or no, an impact on their learning and memory? Yes or no, have you noticed an impact on their processing speed? Yes or no, have you noticed an impact on their attention? And they also said, yeah, I've noticed that too. And this is one of the things that made me read this article and say, let me see what's going on. This is very interesting. Because the weed head usually ain't the smartest guy in the room. Let's just keep it 100. The guy who's always smoking ain't usually the one who's sitting around, calculating like theories on the origin of the universe or advanced mathematical equations, right? Like he's got it out of it. It's okay. It's like maybe like he's in a constant state or maybe like orgasmic kind of state. I'm not sure what it is, but y'all know what it is, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. So let me read more. I'm gonna read more of this. They said additionally, there is in addition to negative impacts on cognitive functioning, learning, memory, processing speed, and attention. There's emerging research suggesting that cannabis may affect emotional processing. To further explore the relationship between marijuana use and emotion processing, the researchers scoured the existing literature for studies exploring the link between cannabis use and emotion processing. They found 41 studies in total. most of them published in the last 5 years. Across the studies, the researchers identified some common themes, such as regular cannabis users demonstrating a lack of responsiveness to emotional stimuli, decreased accuracy and response time when identifying and differentiating emotional states such as happiness, sadness, or anger, decreased neural activity as measured by brainwave amplitudes when exposed to emotional stimuli. I guess that means that their brain waves don't amplify as much. They're kind of dimmed down. A dampening of activity in the prefrontal cortex and medial prefrontal cortex in response to being shown emotional images as measured by fMRI. So that what that says, and this is important, that last one, a dampening of activity in the prefrontal cortex. Let me explain why that got my attention. Does anybody know? Give me a yes or no if you know anything about the prefrontal cortex. Because I talk about the prefrontal cortex a lot on this platform. Why do I talk about the prefrontal cortex? Y'all, has anybody ever heard me make references to the prefrontal cortex? Let me see it. So I'm gonna show y'all something, and I want you to this will help you understand why I think the prefrontal cortex is actually quite interesting. And the reason is because there was this guy, there was this weird looking hippie white dude at Stanford. And he gives the most fascinating lectures, actually. I sat there and I watched this white man talk for hours. His name was Professor Ken Sapolsky. Now, Professor Ken Sapolsky is fascinating because he does these deep dive lectures. And again, this is the conversation for intelligent Black people. So, all the dumb people either sit in the back and listen, or you can walk out the room. It's totally up to you. Just don't interrupt class, children. If you're in here trying to disrupt intelligent Black people from trying to grow, or trying to become more intelligent, then I can't. I don't know what to do with you. I'm not gonna fight with you. Just go get some weed or something. It's all right. I'm not gonna judge you. But Professor Ken Sapolsky gave a fascinating lecture that I saw where he talked about the difference between a human brain and an animal brain. And what was interesting was that he said that the human brain is very similar to that of an animal. Animals do a lot of the same things that humans do. They process information the same way humans do. He said the one difference between the human brain and the animal brain, that little 3 to 5%, is the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain, from what I understand. Now, I'm not an expert in psychology and all that. My wife is, but I'm not. My wife is, but I'm not. So I'm gonna be honest with you. So all this stuff I'm sharing with you, perhaps through transitivity. Like she talks a lot and tells me things, and I just listen and I just say yes, ma'am, yes, dear, whatever. Right? That's a good role for marriage. Like that's a good thing to practice. Right? So the thing is, the reason that got my attention is because the prefrontal cortex actually is a part of the brain that allows you to think differently from an animal. Like think about a dog. A dog is not very intelligent. A dog can't a dog a dog can do basic things that the humans might do, right? Like if a dog thinks a girl looks good, he's gonna go have sex with her. If a dog gets mad, the dog fights. It's the dog enjoys running around and kind of doing stuff that dogs do, but dogs are not humans, right? White people think dogs are humans, but we know dogs are not human. Well, the dogs can't think like people. Dogs can't do the things that people do. If you give a dog food, right? If you tell the dog, if you say, hey dog, I need you to make plans for your future, so if you see a fine ass woman over there with a big dog booty and you want to go hit it, I need you to think twice about that, because if you go hit it, you're gonna have kids out here, without a daddy. You're gonna end up paying child support. It's gonna be a mess for you, dog. Like he's not gonna hear that, right? He's gonna be like, "What are you talking about? I'm a dog, right?" Or if you give a dog like 2 weeks of food and you leave the dog alone and you say, "I want you to ration out your food. I want you to plan for the future so that you can have food later on in the week," right? The dog isn't gonna do that, right? Give me a yes or no. Is the dog gonna make a plan? Is he gonna ration out his food and carefully save and ration it and invest it properly so that he can have food for the whole week? No, he's going to eat it all on day one and day two, and then he's going to starve to death for the next 10 days, right? So that's what dogs do, right? So here's the thing. What this guy was saying is that the prefrontal cortex is what separates you from a dog. That's my point. The prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain that allows you to do things like play chess, do calculus. Remember, to deal with that white man, to deal with white supremacy, you got to play chess. A lot of Negroes out here playing checkers. That's why they're getting whooped every time. They out here playing checkers. That's why they can't defeat white supremacy. They don't even understand the system well enough to even identify the system. If you hide and drunk and doped up all the time, you're not going to be alert enough to be the kind of soldier you need to know when that cop is coming to kill you. You're not going to be enough of a soldier to know when they are dropping you in those traps. You're just going to be in the trap and go smoke some weed and then go make a song about being in the trap. But the reality is that in order for you to really fight against the people that want to take you out, you have to be alert, right? So so here's the connection. So we talked about the prefrontal cortex being destroyed by excessive cannabis consumption. The prefrontal cortex is that part of the brain that separates you from an animal, right? Well, if your prefrontal cortex is ruined, then you do a lot of things animals do. You act on instinct. You're not processing information. You're not thinking things through. You're not doing calculations necessary for you to be safe, or for you to succeed, or for you to lead a family, or for you to be successful, or for you to be intelligent, or for you to actually be to get ahead in the world, right? You're not doing these things. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Give me a yes or no if you get what I'm saying. Some people get mad. Some people think I'm hating when I talk like this, and it's fine. I mean, it's okay. Like, I'm totally not judging you. If you want to go live in your mediocre existence, like if you want to be mediocre, I'm not gonna get mad at you. I'm gonna wish you the best. But I'm not gonna tell everybody else to go be mediocre like you, because a lot of this imagery, a lot of this culture that is mass promoted to black people is designed to keep the black man mediocre, weak, and feminine. That is what it's designed to do. Malcolm X used to always say that the white man does not want the black man to be a man. The white man wants the black man to be a little boy, or he wants him to be a little girl. He wants him to be a little boy, or wants him to be a little girl, or he wants him to be stupid. He wants him to be behind the curve. He don't want him to know what's going on. He doesn't want him to be alert, and that's why they hide people like Dr. Claude Anderson from you, because they don't want you identifying with Dr. Claude Anderson. They don't want you identifying with Louis Farrakhan. They want you identifying with the rapper who's like smoking weed like 5 times a day. Like, just keep it 100. That's what it is. That's what the goal is, right? And some of y'all, are fitting right into the plan, right? And I'm not here to judge totally. I mean, I'm not even really here to say that you have to change that. If that's who you are, if you think that, Malcolm X, it was wrong and you think he's stupid, then that's okay. But I will say at the end of the day that there are people out here that are trying to understand what's happening. And those are the people that I really want to talk to. I really like talking to the people that can hear this and kind of say, let me think about that. Let me do my own research. Forget boys. Boys are full of crap. Boys out here talking. He out here hating. Boys, he just out here hating. So let me go do my own research. But if you're not even doing your own research on this, then that means probably that you're experiencing what is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is where you hear something that is so contradictory to everything you've been told, everything you've been led to believe, that you get pissed off, that your first reaction is to get angry, right? Now let me keep going. Let me keep reading here. Now again, this is about excessive marijuana consumption. This is not about the person who smokes weed once a month or whatever. This is about consistently smoking. This is what the research says. Don't get mad at me, get mad at the research. It says here, the researchers also found evidence that the subcomponents of cannabis, specifically THC and CBD, can influence emotion processing in different ways. For instance, one study found that THC increases anxiety in response to fearful social situations, while CBD can decrease it. So THC can make you very nervous when you're around lots of people, or maybe when you're in social situations that require you to engage with other human beings. CBD actually reduces your fear of social interaction. So I don't think CBD is so bad. It seems like it's the THC that might be the issue here. And they said, to our knowledge, this is one of the first critical review articles focused on an emerging research area of cannabis and emotion processing. Synthesizing the existing findings of this research, developing research is a field is important for future prevention and intervention studies focused on promoting healthy socio-emotional functioning in cannabis users. Taken together, this research presents a worrying picture of how regular marijuana use affects emotional intelligence. By blunting the brain's ability to quickly and accurately process emotional states, regular cannabis users run the risk of weakening their interpersonal relationships. Now, weakening their interpersonal relationships. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Has anybody ever known like a dude who smokes so much weed that he doesn't even like want to talk to his woman? Like, he doesn't want to have sex with his woman anymore. He doesn't want to be like he sits by himself in the basement, like smoking all day. Like, social interaction is not. I'm not. Again, this is. I'm not an expert on any of this. I'm reading from Psychology Today, But has anybody ever noticed that? You ever notice a dude who, like, because he's maybe smoking so much, he doesn't even want to, like, his shit can't even get hard. He don't even want to go have sex with his girl. Like, I remember hearing a guy one time literally say something like, "My weed is like my woman," or something, right? And I thought that was like the most interesting thing in the world, right? And so what I really think, here's what I think, right? I'm gonna say I believe the research. I believe the research on this, that excessive consumption of weed probably has something going on that maybe pop culture is not going to tell you about, right? I do agree. I do believe. I totally get it when people say weed relaxes me. I totally get it. Just like orgasms relax you, right? But if you're sitting around having orgasms all day, it's going to be hard for you to get things done, right? Um, I've seen people talk about. I've done probably about 100 articles, or excuse me, 100 interviews with people who are big advocates of cannabis, and I listened to the research. My opinion on weed really shifted. When I grew up, weed was seen as a really bad thing, right? Like if you start smoking weed, that's bad. That means you headed down the wrong side of the tracks. But I started reading the research on CBD versus THC. I saw all the healing effects that CBD oil has. I personally bought some CBD oil because of that. But I think that what happened, here's what my theory is. I think that because the CBD oil in particular became more acceptable, people started really embracing not just the THC, but they started embracing all the synthetic shit. And the thing about the synthetic stuff is that you don't know what the hell that man's putting in that weed. I mean, people like Dr. Wesley Muhammad literally think that they're putting stuff in the weed that's making black men feminine. Now, I don't know. Now that part I can't confirm. Like I listen to Brother Wesley. I love Brother Wesley a lot. And I listen to everything he says, but I don't. I do my own research on everything, and this one I wonder if the jury's out. I don't know, but seriously, when you start really seeing what's going on in the culture with some of these dudes, it's like, whoa, Kimasabi. You can't really fight a battle against that white man when you got black men out here running around talking about they want to be pregnant. You can't. You just can't. Right now that part, but then again, if you want to be pregnant, then that's okay. That's your right. But I will say at the end of the day, it doesn't go beyond me to think that there could be something to this, right? That there could be a reason why they consistently promote marijuana consumption to black men through the music. I believe that the promotion of things like Molly and Percocets and alcohol is designed to keep you so numb psychologically that you can't be ready to fight. The thing about fighting and about being a soldier is that I don't know anybody, any soldier, and how many veterans we got in the building? How many people out here like served in the military? I'm gonna ask y'all a question. If somebody said that before you go on the battlefield, you need to smoke as much weed as possible and go, and go take a couple Mollies and Percocets, what would you say? Yes or no? Do you think that's a good idea, or no? If you think it's a bad idea, what do y'all think? If you are a soldier and you're fighting against, the enemy. The enemy might be white supremacy. The enemy could be the public school system that keeps our kids dumb. A million black kids graduate from school every year, damn near, who can't even read at grade level, or at least several 100,000 do. Um, the enemy could be media that's promoting anti-intellectualism amongst young black men. The enemy could be the economic system that loves to keep black people enslaved. The enemy is everything out there that's anti-family. So if you're about to go out on the battlefield and you're about to compete, with an enemy, whether you're talking about as a soldier or as an athlete, uh, drugs don't help you do that. Drugs don't make you alert. Drugs make you out of your mind. And I love Damian Williams' comment. He says, "Doc, love you. Stick to finance. Weed, yes, but anything else, no." Well, I like when people say that, because when people say that, I respond to that, because that's kind of like, that's a weird comment. That's like a shut up and dribble kind of comment. And here's the thing you must understand, Damian Williams, is that you can't talk about finance if you can't talk about being psychologically alert. The people who have the wealth are the motherfuckers who pay attention. The people who have the wealth are the people who are on top of their game. The people who get ahead economically are the ones who make a plan. The people who get ahead psychologically are the ones who have well functioning brains. So when you tell me just stick to finance, But yet I'm supposed to sit here and not say a word when I see 10 million black men being taught to stay high all day long. Then there's no fucking point in me talking about finance in the first place. There's no point in me explaining to you how to get ahead economically when you too goddamn high to understand what I'm saying. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you understand? I'm not sitting here trying to brag and say I'm some sort of special successful person, right? But I'm definitely proud of who I am, and I'm not afraid of nothing. And one of the things I can tell you is that the number one variable that allowed me to become successful and to have an opportunity to accomplish things in this world and to overcome that white man's oppression is the fact that I was always keeping my head on the swivel. I looked around at the world and I said, everybody around me is failing. My father went to prison for drugs. My older brother, my uncle, but he was like my older brother, he went to prison and stayed high and drunk all the damn time. I had an uncle who was on dope and alcohol all the time, couldn't accomplish shit, had no respect from his children. I had people in my family. I saw black man after black man going down because of alcohol and drugs. So one of the first things I figured out at about the age of 8 is that if I want to succeed, I cannot be doing what all these other people are doing. I am not here to talk down about these people. My heart goes out to all these people, but I will tell you, I put on a stack of Bibles that there was not one bone in my body that wanted to be like some of these people. I did not want to be a black man whose kids can't look up to him. And at least they might say my daddy's a bastard, but they can't say my daddy's a loser. They can't say my daddy ain't coming through for them. My kids know that if they need daddy for something, daddy's coming through. Daddy might be rough on you. Daddy's gonna be tough. My kids get mad at me sometimes. They get pissed off at me, but they know daddy is gonna be solid as a rock because daddy's gonna be alert. They're not gonna go in the bathroom and find daddy hiding away because he got a heroin needle in his arm, or he's laid up with some chick with a bottle of vodka in his hand and a fucking meth pipe in the other. Like that's not gonna be daddy's. That's not how daddy's going out. Right. So what I'm saying to you is that you must understand that when you're talking about, you can't talk about economics in a vacuum. It's like therapists. Therapists always tell me that sometimes when they do therapy on an individual, they have to bring in the whole family because they cannot fix one part of the ecosystem without addressing all parts of the ecosystem. Right. You can't address that person in a vacuum. You have to address the whole ecosystem. So when I talk about finance, I don't just address economic issues in the black community in a vacuum. You cannot address it in a vacuum. You cannot talk about black wealth without talking about broken families, because that's the number one factor that causes black wealth to be zilch, because you're paying all that money to the child support court because you got baby mamas splattered all over the country, and or you're a single mother that's got 3 different daddies that ain't helping contribute to the household, so you have a net worth of 0. You cannot talk about black wealth without talking about black psychology. My expertise is financial psychology, where I learned very clearly from all the research that people who have wealth think differently from the people who do not. They can tell you all day that it's all about these systematic factors, which certainly play a role. But at the end of the day, your psychology is everything, man. Seriously, your psychology is everything. And so Black Matter says Elon Musk smokes weed all day. That's bullshit. Elon Musk works 14 hours a day. That man, he did. You go read the biography of Elon Musk, because I have. Go read his autobiography. That whole smoking weed thing is so that he can fit in with all the average people out here. That man is not sitting around smoking weed all day, because you can't do advanced engineering at a super high level all day long while you high. You just really can't, unless your drug of choice is cocaine, at which point you have another set of problems. Right. So what I'm simply saying to you guys is this: look, I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I promise you I'm not. I read this article and I shared it, and the article is in Psychology Today. I'm going to give you the title so you can look it up and read it for yourself. The article is Why Marijuana Use May Lower Emotional Intelligence, and it's by Mark Travers, PhD. It's in Psychology Today. I am not here. I kid you not. I swear to God, I am not here to change your opinion. I am not here to tell you that there's anything wrong with all the marketing imagery that they have in mass media of black men constantly getting high. I'm not here to tell you to change your lifestyle. I'm not here to save the masses. I'm not Jesus. I'm not here to cleanse you of your sins. Your sins are between you and yourself. Seriously. What I'm here to do is to speak to those who are looking around and saying something ain't quite right. I'm really talking to those people who are like, yeah, I always suspected that there was an issue here. Now I have more data to add to my perspective. I'm talking to the people who are saying, man, I have been trying to figure out how to really make sure that I am on top of my game because I got family members who are not on top of their game and it bothers me, right? I'm here to talk to people who say, you know, I really want to see the black man rise again, but something's missing. Something in the culture is not built on being attentive and focused and strong. Something in the culture is very much built on kind of laying back, chilling, waiting for things to happen, feeling sorry for yourself, not really moving forward. It doesn't mean that that's the entirety of the culture, right? It doesn't mean that that's everybody, but y'all know what I'm talking about. There's a reason they promote a certain image of the black man. They did this 100 years ago. They promoted the image 100 years ago of the black man as lazy, slow, mentally dull, and uncompetitive. If you read Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, he talks about the image of the black man as slow, dull, and uncompetitive, right? And if you look at the image of the black man smoking weed while he's, sitting in the studio making a record, it's an image of a guy who's a little slow, a little dull. He's not competitive. He's not going to go out and build rocket ships to Mars. He's not going to go and take over major corporations. He's not going to go and educate 1 million black children on something positive on how they can actually live a better life. He's not going to go stop the violence in the communities where single mothers are getting shot up in Chicago and stuff like that. He's not going to do any of that because he's trying to go get high, right? So here's the deal. Here's the deal. Here's a reality that black people have to face that is very uncomfortable for me to speak on because a lot of people think you're uppity when you tell the truth about what's going on with our people. You cannot build power in a community with a bunch of weed heads. You can't. You can't. Weed heads have never led an army that has gone out and conquered anything. They conquered the cannabis farm. That's pretty much it. I'm not saying that weed is bad. Again, I'm not talking about the occasional smoker. I'm not talking about the guy who maybe gets it in every now and then. I'm talking about the guy who just smokes every day, all day long, and that's his primary occupation. Number two, you cannot build wealth and power in a community full of baby mamas and baby daddies. Nowhere in the history of this world have you ever seen any community build massive wealth where everybody's a baby mama and everybody's a baby daddy and all the families are broken, because broken families tend to create broken children, which are not the types of people that grow up and become competitive. Now, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody's specific situation. I'm just trying to ask you, give me an example of any community where you have millions of people with broken families that were able to really go on and accomplish much of anything. Wealth is a team sport. So when someone says to me, I want you to talk about finances, Doc. Don't talk about the other stuff. Well, I told you, there's never been a situation where wealth has been built in a community full of broken families. So if I don't address the broken families, then I can't even talk about wealth. Talking about wealth is a complete waste of time, because all you're going to do is either not make the money, or because you're too broken to get it, or maybe you are just going to throw it all away because you've been taught all the wrong things about yourself, which leads you to make terrible decisions anyway. So what's the point in talking about wealth if you're not even going to address the underlying issue? It's like trying to teach a kid calculus when he didn't even eat breakfast that morning. If I don't get that little kid some food, he's not going to hear a damn thing I say. It doesn't matter how important that mathematical theory is that I want to teach him. It doesn't matter if he is hungry. So the fact is that when you talk about our community, first things have to come first. When you're talking about trying to build a better community, you're trying to build wealth, you're trying to do all these amazing things that are out here, you must address what is going on with some of our young people and why can't they focus enough to accomplish the things that we know that they are capable of doing. To do that, you must address the culture, because culture is one of the driving factors in human behavior. That is one of the leading things that describes your values and what matters to you, what you're willing to work hard for. And I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of kids who will work harder to get the latest iPhone or to get a new Gucci purse than they would ever work to read a book or learn how to actually build anything or to build a strong family. I just have seen this, right? So again, this is not me saying this is everybody. This is not me judging your lifestyle. I'm sure that there are some weed heads in the chat who are complaining and bitching and saying, Doc, you just hating. Just know I'm not hating on you. I'm not hating on your life. In fact, I love your life. I'm not a hater. I'm a lover. If you love your life, then I love it for you, because it doesn't matter if I tell you these things. If you never internally question why your life isn't going in the direction you want it to go, if you never stop and say, maybe I need to try a different strategy, then it doesn't matter what I say. I'm just a guy who's out here yelling and screaming and hollering in your ear and getting on your nerves, and which means you should probably just unsubscribe. You should probably go to a different channel. I'm here to talk to the people that want to move forward. I'm here to talk to the people that really want to figure out what's going on. I'm here to talk to the people that actually want to build strong families. I want to talk to the people that want to build educational processes for our kids so they can be successful. I'm here talking to the people that really want to know what it takes to go to that next level. And I can just tell you, there's a reason. Like, anybody ever watch some of these mafia flicks? By the way, hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna head on out of here. By the way, boycewatkins.com is my website. We got some stuff in the Black Business School, a lot of really good stuff going on right now. So if you want to take a look, feel free to go to boycewatkins.com and you can see what we got going on. Has anybody watched like The Godfather? Tell me if you watched The Godfather. I was watching The Godfather with my dad the other day, and The Godfather, for those of you that are kind of young, The Godfather is this old gangster movie, where they basically had to make these gangster moves, and they kind of had to think through everything, and or you would get killed, and it was kind of just it's a good flick. If you got to be patient to watch it, but it's a good movie. Well, one of the things I remember, there's a guy that has a YouTube channel. I forgot his name, but he's got a good YouTube channel where he was actually in the mafia, and he talks about some of the things they did in the mafia. Now, this is not to glorify how the mafia operated. Clearly, they were not perfect, but they did a few things right. They understood a few things that I think Black people can pay attention to. For example, when they had a conflict, they would have a sit down and they would talk it through and they would communicate to make sure that it didn't get out of hand. They didn't just run up, shooting everybody up, shooting up little kids and babies and shit. They had codes. They had codes of conduct that allowed them to function so they could actually succeed, remain strong, and build wealth. Well, one of the things that they also had going on that the old folks actually had right was when they saw drugs come along and they saw what drugs was doing to families, and they saw what drugs was doing to people's psychology, when they saw what drugs, heavy drugs especially, were doing to people's minds. They said, we do not mess with drugs. They said, in fact, if we catch you messing with drugs, we will kill you. And that's not uncommon. Actually, the Chinese did the same thing. The Chinese had a problem with opium 100 years ago when the Chinese couldn't get their economy going because everybody was so busy getting high that they weren't actually doing anything. They had leaders in the community that spoke up against the opium. And so that meant that they had to fight against the drug dealers, who were the British. The white folks were dealing the drugs to the Chinese. They didn't get high on their own supply, but they would sell the drugs to the Chinese. And they had to deal with the drug addicts who were pissed. They said, "Oh, you just hating. Why are you hating on my high? Why you're right?" So they just basically told the British, if you bring drugs in our community, we're going to kill you. They told the drug addicts, if we catch you with drugs, we're going to kill you. They just had a zero tolerance policy. And so the question I would ask you is, why do you think that that the smart people, the calculated people, the intelligent people, the leaders are very, very, very much anti-drug? Well, because they know that anything that alters your mind, anything that slows down your ability to process information, is probably not going to help your ability to survive. Right. And where I learned this first was when I was a little kid and I saw how many Black men I looked up to. I saw them die because of situations, because when they were on drugs. I saw them die from drug overdoses. I saw my biological father went to jail for drugs. I saw what his life was like. His children did not respect him. He didn't really amount to much of anything. I saw what happened to a lot of the older men. I went to college and I remember I was about to pledge Q Dog, and the Q Dogs on my campus just happened to love to drink a lot and smoke a lot and all this stuff. And I remember thinking, I don't understand how you can even expect to be a successful Black man when all you're doing is sitting around drinking, smoking, fucking, and just living your best life every single step of the way. I'm not judging that, but I did not understand it, right? And then when I thought about another person that RIP to DMX, because I remember DMX when DMX was like kind of the man and he was heavily promoted in the media. I remember DMX when he was in like about late 20s. He was late 20s. I'm about the same age as DMX. So when he was late 20s, I remember watching him on tour, and they said, "What do you do on tour?" He said, "Nothing, just smoke all day, fuck all night." And even at 29, I remember thinking, That's all you do. That's all he does. Damn, like, how do you get anything done? I don't understand that. So when you look 20 years later and you see like how DMX went out, right? He was a great artist, one of the greatest artists of all time. He made probably $100 million in his career. His children should be billionaires by now, right? He should have a legacy that's going to last 200 years. I don't think he went out like that. He didn't go out in a way that I think would be appropriate for a guy who had all that talent. And drugs was literally the bane of that existence. Now, here's the deal. We don't need to compare hard drugs to things like marijuana. Marijuana is not as hard as cocaine, crack, or heroin, or whatever. But to pretend like smoking weed all day is not going to affect your cognitive processing, whoever told you that is lying to you. All the studies, I dare you, go show me any research, any scientific research that says that a person can smoke all day and still be as psychologically well functioning as they would be if they kept a healthy mindset. There is no study out there. You cannot find such a study, right? You can only find that in your imagination because maybe it confirms your pre-existing belief. So here's the deal. Here's my conclusion on this whole conversation on weed. It's a sticky conversation, right? Because a lot of brothers follow me. I know a lot of brothers smoke, and I'm not judging you. And a lot of women you smoke. I got friends that smoke. A lot of people I know smoke, and I'm not judging that at all, right? So I hope I can say this and still be friends with you, right? But here's the deal. Here's my conclusion. CBD is fine because that's not the same as THC. CBD has a lot of healing properties. I love CBD. I have lots of CBD in my house. THC is a little bit of an issue because it is a mind-altering substance that is proven through numerous studies to slow down cognitive functioning. If you're trying to be a high-functioning person, you might not want to be smoking weed every single day, right? If you smoke every now and then, that's fine, but smoking every day doesn't seem to be the way to be successful. Third conclusion, synthetic weed, fuck all that shit. Synthetic weed is where they're basically doing science experiments on you. You are a walking Tuskegee experiment if you are messing with anything synthetic and putting that stuff in your body. If I'm the CIA, if I'm COINTELPRO, if I'm the FBI, and I'm really trying to make sure that the black man never rises to be the lion that I know he can be, I'm going to go and find out the areas where I can infiltrate the community. The areas where I can infiltrate the community are, one, I can infiltrate his music, and two, I can infiltrate his synthetic weed. So I'm going to be putting fentanyl in there. I'm going to be putting all kinds of mind-altering shit in there. I'm going, Dr. Wesley Muhammad said he thinks they're even putting stuff in there that's making these dudes want to go and suck each other's penises, right? I'm going, whatever it takes to make sure that you're not a soldier. Whatever it takes for me, if I'm CIA, if I'm FBI, if I'm COINTELPRO, whatever it takes for me to make sure that you never grow up and become the man that is going to be a threat to me, and you're dumb enough to put any substance I give you into your body, that I'm going to use that all day long. So just beware that the plot is out there, right? If you think I'm a conspiracy theorist, well, you goddamn right. Because it ain't like there haven't been thousands of conspiracies committed against black people. Am I right or am I right? Give me a yes or no. Are you aware of things like the Tuskegee experiment? Are you aware of what they did with crack cocaine and how they put that all throughout black communities and destroy families for generations to come? Are you aware of these things? So do you think that they stopped? Do you think that they just suddenly decided to be nice to black people now and they decided to stop doing all the things they've been doing for the last 200 or 300 years to control you? If you think that, then maybe you need to smoke a little less weed. Maybe you need to pay attention, bro, because they coming to get you. They coming to get you. And when the enemy arrives to come get me, you won't see me in the basement getting high. I'm going to be ready to fight back. And I hope that you are too. So that's my 2 cents. I know this conversation was hard for some people. I know people get offended. I had people that text me pissed off when I showed them the article. And I get that. I totally get that. And I hear that. And I'm not judging your lifestyle, nor am I pretending that I know everything. But what I am trying to tell you is that there's something wrong. There is something screwed up. When 200 rappers die in 1 year and nobody gives a damn, there's something wrong. When you have hundreds and hundreds of black people dying every year in the streets of Chicago, something's wrong, right? When black wealth has not moved up in the last 50 years, something's wrong. When hundreds of thousands of our kids are graduating from public schools and can't even read at grade level, can't even fucking read at grade level, but they know how to twerk and throw a goddamn football, something's wrong, right? So whether you like my point here or not, you cannot disagree with me that something's wrong. If you disagree with me, then there's nothing I can do for you. You should go to a different channel. But those who understand, I hope you'll hear me. And I thank you for listening to my point of view. If you are offended by anything that I say, just pretend like I didn't say it and continue to go back and do whatever you were doing before this conversation. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Also, BoyceWatkins.com. We have some stuff going on with alternative investments. If you're interested in crypto and Forex and all that stuff, you guys know you're right. My PhD is in finance, and we have a lot of experts that we work with. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, feel free to go to BoyceWatkins.com. And we got some good Black Friday deals and a lot of stuff going on. So thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. God bless you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.